It's now time for Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. It began as a podcast, went live on the net, and transformed into a full-blown empire. It's the only daily boxing talk show on the planet, hosted by the only guy with the balls to do it. Many have stepped into the ring. Many have tried to take the belt. And one by one, they've fallen. Another victim of the undisputed heavyweight champion of Boxing Talk Radio. Talkin' Boxing with Billy C is on now.
My style is impetuous, my defense is impregnable, and I'm just ferocious. I want your heart.
And we're coming to you live from the Billy C Studios in Lake George, New York. I'm Bill Calogero, and it's time for the Billy C Show. Good morning, good day, good evening, whenever you're listening or watching. Hope you're doing all right today. Busy show scheduled for you today as we do the Fonfara Stevenson predictions and breakdowns, plus a whole bunch of other stuff. But first, today's show. She's being brought to you in part by Sal's Neighborhood Pizzeria and Italian Restaurant located on beautiful St. Simons Island in Georgia. Check out the website, www.salsneighborhoodpizzeria.com. We'll give my man a call, 912-268-2328, 912-268-2328. Find out why I go all the way to St. Simons to get a decent slice of pizza. And speaking of going to St. Simons, I'm going to be down there the week of June 12th. As Sal and I are working on a project that we can't really talk about, but I've given you guys some hints. It's going to be real good. That's all I'm going to say. And it's coming soon to a television station near you. Oh, did I say that? Oh my goodness. It slipped. But listen, if you're going to be in the St. Simons Island area that week, swing by Sal's. And I'm sure I'll be there stuffing my face because that's what I'm going there for. Today's show is also being brought to you in part by Gawk Box. What is it? Well, we can save you some money. We can get you great discounts, and you can help us out. So open up an account today. Go to our website, our website. It's Friday. www.billycboxing.com and click on the Gawk Box banner. Today's show is also being brought to us in part by the Turning Stone Resort and Casino in Verona, New York, and their next boxing event, which is Friday, June 9th. It's for the International Boxing Hall of Fame induction weekend, and I'm going to be ringside, and I want you to be there too. So get yourself some tickets. Visit our website, billycboxing.com, and click on the Turning Stone Fight poster and get yourself some tickets. Now, if you don't want to click on the poster, no problem. Just go to the Turning Stone box office and demand a Billy C discount. And finally, today's show is being brought to us in part by my book. Tom Molyneux, From Bondage, The Baddest Man on the Planet, is available right now where all good books are sold, and you can literally get a copy of it right now while you're watching or listening to the show by going to barnesandnoble.com or amazon.com. Find out why we got a 5-star rating across the board. Looking to get a signed copy? Don't worry about it. We can hook you up too. Just visit the website, billycboxing.com, and follow the directions. Well, coming up a little bit later, we will have Dox Khan join us. Alex Perpali scheduled to stop by. We are going to be talking about the fight scheduled for this weekend, World Light Heavyweight Championship fight between Adonis Superman Stevenson and Andrzej Fonfara. It's a rematch. The first fight was entertaining and somewhat close after the first round anyway, but we will be breaking that down. I got some more news to talk about. But first, let me bring on my partner in crime. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Sal Rocky Senecola. Good morning, Sal.
Good morning, Bill. How are you today, my friend?
I'm not doing too bad. You know, the weather looks like it kind of broke here. You know, it was supposed to rain, then it was nice. Then, it was raining and raining. Then all of a sudden we were supposed to get more rain. Then it broke. Yesterday was gorgeous. Today's supposed to rain, but it's beautiful out there. So I ain't complaining, if you know what I'm talking about.
Don't complain. Leave well enough alone. Remember that term? We heard that every day. Leave well enough alone.
Hey, before we start talking about the fight scheduled for this weekend between Fonfara and Stevenson, plus the co-main event, which is Elder Alvarez going up against Jean Pascal. Some news in the boxing world I wanted to mention to you and everyone else and get your thoughts on, of course. It was announced that it finally is official. There was a lot of rumor about this fight, but as of yesterday afternoon, it was made official. On July 29th, Mikey Garcia, one of my favorite fighters, moves up in weight to fight and to move. He moves up to 140-pound division to face Adrian Broner. I like the fight. I love Mikey Garcia. Adrian Broner. He's. I don't know. I mean, I thought Adrian Broner was really going to make an impact on the sport for his boxing skill when he first hit the scene in the lightweight division. Since then, he's had, to say that he's had some ups and downs is an understatement. But I love Mikey Garcia, and I love this fight. Mikey Garcia is 36-0 with 30 knockouts. He's only 29 years old, so it's going to be interesting to see. What's your initial thoughts on this fight, and especially considering that Mikey Garcia has also held some titles at 126, 130, and 135, but he's never fought heavier than 138 pounds. He is a big kid. I don't think he's going to have much problem with the weight. But Adrian Broner, I mean, he's shown glimpses of superstardom, and he's also shown glimpses of just downright an idiot outside the ring. It's a big fight for both of these guys. What's your thoughts?
That's a big fight. Initially, when you said it, I tend to favor Mikey Garcia for a couple reasons. I think his taking boxing maybe a little more serious inside and outside the ring than his opponent, but I think he also realizes the significance of this kind of fight, moving up in a weight class, and I think Adrian Broner, we got to see how he conducts himself and how he prepares for this fight and where his head's at. I think he is capable of putting on a great show. He's definitely a world-class fighter. I just don't know, when you have a question mark with a world-class fighter, which fighter is going to show up or what's going to happen going into the fight, it gives me reason to look at the alternatives, and the only alternative here is Mikey Garcia. So I think Mikey Garcia is a solid fighter. I don't think this moving up is all that great. I think his body can carry it. He's a fairly good size lightweight. So it should be an interesting fight, and I'll look forward to it.
I love the fight, and I love Mikey Garcia. Mikey Garcia is the style of fighter that I absolutely love. He's what I refer to as a blue-collar fighter. He brings that lunch pail to work, does his business, and leaves. He's not cocky. He lets his performance do the talking for him in the ring. This is a guy that has displayed pretty much all of it. He's technically sound. He breaks his opponents down the way you're supposed to, and finishes them off the way you're supposed to.
Absolutely.
I know he's had some. Promotional / management issues that took him, kept him from fighting for over a year, I guess. And, he's still only 29. And I'm looking forward to this fight as far as Adrian Broner is concerned. Listen, at 135 pounds, I thought Adrian Broner was it, man. He was the real deal. But, I think of his lack of dedication and, just... I don't want to say, but surrounding himself maybe with the wrong people, or thinking that he was better than he was, or trying to emulate his at one time mentor Floyd Mayweather. He just missed it both. Floyd is arrogant and has the money and everything else, but not as bad as Adrian Broner. Adrian Broner's been arrested. He's been doing all this stuff. Not that Floyd hasn't, but I just think that a lot of the outside of the ring stuff has transformed Adrian Broner into a really unlikable guy. And I think that overshadows his performance inside the ring. It's going to be interesting to see how his skill set holds up to a technically sound guy like Mikey Garcia. Another side note, this fight, Sal, will be broadcast on Showtime, and by the time it airs on July 29th, it'll have been the 19th live boxing event that Showtime would have put out so far this year. 19.
19, that's great.
In case you're keeping score, you know how many HBO has to date?
Let me guess. I would say probably 8.
Cut it in half. They've had 4.
No way. 4?
They've had 4. Sort of like Rodney Dangerfield when they asked him back in the movie Back to School. He goes through that big math question and he goes 4. You know, right? You're right. Winner. You know. But that's what it 4. You know. But interesting fight, and I'm looking forward to it, man. I like it. You know, again, we're keeping up the momentum with quality fights in 2017. Your thoughts?
Yeah, me too. You know, like I said, last year I kept saying boxing's in a rebooting mode. It's going to come out back out strong, and you know, it looks like this year it's trying to fulfill what I was hoping for. And tell you what, we have some great fights to come in the near future. So I think it's a great side for boxing. And now if they only put back into the rule book, let's go 15 rounds. Let's fight for a purse without it being pre-assigned and all this other good stuff. You'll see some big things. Let's have the same day weigh-ins. Those are the changes I want to see.
Yeah, well, don't count on any of that, Sal. I mean,
we'll have to get Donald Trump in here and say, let's make boxing great again, you know?
Yeah, he's in enough hot water. The last thing we need is him to be near the sport of boxing. But, good stuff happening.
Good stuff is happening, Bill. We're happy, man. This is great.
It's happening.
We have a lot to look forward to.
It's happening, sweetheart. It's
happening, sweetheart.
Some other news that I wanted to get out of the way before we start breaking down and giving our predictions for the title fight this weekend is you remember the appalling situation that took place in the title fight, I guess, between Andre Durrell and Jose Yu, because I'm not going to murder him again, his name, but not only I personally didn't think that the fight should have been stopped on a disqualification, but nonetheless it was the fight was DQ'd. Jose was DQ'd for hitting Durrell after the bell, and then Durrell got an Academy Award for not being able to continue. Whatever, that's just my opinion. But the appalling part was his uncle, Andre Durrell's uncle, Leon Lawson Jr., or the second, however you want to look at it, came over and sucker punched Jose after the fight, after Andre Durrell went over and shook hands and said he had no problem, and after he was sitting in the corner, standing in the corner, talking to one of Jose's trainers as if nothing was going on, and all of a sudden he sucker punches this guy. Yeah. It was appalling. He subsequently escaped the arena. There is a warrant out for his arrest. As of now, I don't think they've caught him, which is a joke. What am I going to see this guy on America's Most Wanted? It's a joke that they're not actively looking for him. But what I think has become more of a joke is the Maryland State Athletic Commission. They announced yesterday that they finally suspended Leon Lawson. I mean, this took place on May 20th. Here we are on June 2nd. It took them that long to make a decision. I'll give you the quote, Sal, and then you give me your thoughts. The Maryland Commission said, based on the initial investigation of events that took place on May 20th during a professional boxing show held at the MGM National Harbor in Oxon Hill, Maryland, licensed cornerman Leon Lawson II was summarily suspended by the Maryland State Athletic Commission as of May 23rd for exhibiting unruly conduct in a violation of commission regulations. Such action is pursuant to Maryland state law authorizing the summary suspension of a licensee where the commission finds that the public health, safety, and welfare improperly was required emergency action. The action was taken as a result of Mr. Lawson punching a professional boxer, Jose Yu, because I'm not going to murder his name anymore, in the face following the conclusion of the boxing contest between Mr. Yu and Andre Durrell. The Maryland State Athletic Commission suspension of Mr. Lawson was issued on an indefinite basis. The commission is continuing its investigation and takes this matter very seriously. Well, if they took this matter very seriously, Sal, they would have, acted promptly, as did a couple of the sanctioning bodies, immediately suspending Lawson. This is a guy that shouldn't be allowed near a boxing ring at all. He shouldn't even be allowed to watch it on television. And I want to see this guy get arrested. I mean, listen, I not to say I don't like anybody to get arrested, but for this, especially in this type of sport, we can't have it. You have to set an example, and this was a punk move. This guy is a punk, really. He's a punk.
Absolutely.
I can't say it anymore. What's your thoughts?
Well, I tell you what, he should be banned from boxing for life. He should not be a cornerman, should not be within 10 rows of the ring, or he should be just banned simply from boxing for life. He should never step near another, get issued another license as a cornerman. Half these licenses, first of all, it's a privilege to be in a corner, do things like that. It's not just a job, but you got to conduct yourself as so. And to buy a license to do this, to do that, and to get in and totally disrespect what it's all about, the whole component of boxing, and hitting a professional fighter, cold cocking him where you can. And this guy's a loose cannon, and you want to protect the fans, you want to protect the fighters, you want to protect other cornermen. This guy's a loose cannon. He's unpredictable. He should never work another corner in his life.
I agree. Hey, listen, Sal, let's take a short break, and when we come back, we'll start giving our thoughts and predictions on the Adonis Stevenson and Andrzej Fonfara rematch, which is taking place Saturday, and it's also on Showtime, another Showtime event. And then we got some emails to read. We'll open up the phone lines. I know we're getting Dax coming on, and we'll keep moving this moving right along, right, Sal?
Moving right along. You got it, Bill.
All right, we're going to take a short break. We'll be back in 2.
Billy C will be right back.
Are you currently on Medicare? In other words, do you carry the red, white, and blue Medicare card? If so, are you suffering from chronic back pain? If you answered yes, you may be eligible for a pain-relieving back brace covered by Medicare at little to no cost, shipped directly to your home for free. These medical-grade back braces are ideal for lower back pain, arthritis, spinal disorders, and other chronic back problems. Will you qualify for a medical-grade back brace?
Call Back Brace America at 1-800-290-8300.
Endless pools are an incredible alternative to traditional pools, making it easy and inexpensive to swim at home. Exercise year-round against a smooth current set to your desired pace and temperature. With our new underwater treadmill, you can walk or run without stressing your joints. Endless pools are simple to install and even simpler to maintain. The water stays crystal clear with almost no chlorine. Call for your free idea kit and experience the freedom of swimming at home.
If you or a loved one have had hernia repair surgery with mesh reinforcement and suffered infection, chronic pain, mesh migration, mesh failure, organ damage, or needed additional surgery, call the Rely On Group right now. You may be eligible to receive a cash award and compensation for your medical expenses. Your voice deserves to be heard. Call the Rely On Group to be connected with a personal injury attorney for a free consultation. Call 800-715-4869. That's 800-715-4869.
Snacking has never been this exciting. At Graze.com, we combine wholesome ingredients with the flavors we all love to create over 100 exciting snacks, like these. We'd love to send you a Graze sampler box for free. Just go to Graze.com, enter the code ENJOY36, and we'll mail your free box to your home or office. Join thousands of Grazers already in love with our exciting snacks. So come to Graze.com for your first box free.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts. Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning. Now back to Billy C. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're watching and listening to the Billy C. Show. Glad you could be with us. And I just want to remind everybody. I know the show is being broadcast on many platforms right now, live. The best thing there are a lot of chat rooms for all these areas, but the chat room that we respond to and monitor. Even though on Facebook Live, I actually am trying to interact with people who interact with me during the show. But the chat room that we actually respond to on the show here is up on BillyCBoxing.com. And one of my main guys in there, Coach, just said that he heard that, I guess, Lawson will be turning himself in today. Sal, I just want to know, why would this guy, I mean, if he really wanted to show that, he was sorry or whatever, I mean, any kind of thing, wouldn't he have done this like that day, the next, I mean, why go through this? I mean, the only thing I can think of is that he actually thought that he was going to get away with this.
Well, he probably did. And you know what, Bill? It's just a pathetic display of just a poor sportsmanship and conduct of one human being. And like I said, this guy should be banned from boxing for life. And he's canon, he's unpredictable. And yes, you are right. If he ever wanted to really be sincere and say, hey, I was just caught up in the heat of the moment, I did this, and I apologize, you would have heard that. And he would have turned himself in immediately, and he would have had all that rhetoric and stuff ready to go and spew out. We didn't see that. Here we are, well after the fight, and now they're talking about, oh, well, guess what? Rumor has it he's going to be turning himself in. And, it's too late. It's past the point, and, this guy should be banned from boxing.
He's
just like they did a couple of other people.
He's a punk. I mean, the bottom line is he's a punk. And the sport doesn't need him. Humanity doesn't need him. Hey, listen, we're going to start breaking down. But before we do, I want to give a shout-out to my man, Ron Lipton, one of boxing's better referees, happens to be watching us on Facebook Live right now. I want to give a shout-out to my man, Ron, and his family. I know them very well. He was involved with our gym, was our lead trainer at Snoop's Gym when we had it in Poughkeepsie, New York. And Ron, if you look at some great fights of great refereeing, you'll find Ron Lipton as the third man in the ring. And we're always talking, Sal, about referees and how I can't stand referees that try to make it about themselves and try to get on camera and try to come up with these coined phrases and even idiots like Moralo Ronaldo or whatever, making comments like, oh, he's one of the better referees. Listen, Ron Lipton is a good example of how refereeing should be done. He is professional in there, does what he's got to do. And you know what the other part is, Sal? He's in shape. The guy can actually move around the ring. Do you ever see some of these fat bastards? I mean, they're fatter than me. And the thing is when you got a guy that can't move physically in the ring, I mean, and he's supposed to be protecting the fighters from each other, or even better, protecting them from officials and stuff like that, and they can't even. They got to get a forklift to lift these fat bastards into the ring, and it just appalls me. Half of them are such out of shape that they're sweating like somebody's got a hose up their back or something. But anyway, if you guys haven't seen Ron Lipton at work, punch him up. I'm sure you'll see a great job. But that's true, though, right, Sal?
Absolutely, and I will say what's true is what you're praising Ron Lipton. He's a class act and a great ref. fantastic guy, and that's good. I'm glad he's in the chat room. That's pretty good. But you're right. You're right. Some of these guys, it's more about them. It's their time to shine, and yes, they have a hard time moving around that ring when they just left McDonald's.
Yeah, some of them look like there's not a buffet I can't pass. I just can't pass a buffet. But what's worse? And we had Larry Hazard. Larry Hazard is a regular fixture here on the show.
Larry Hazard, he refereed the finals of my Golden Glove victory when I won the Golden Gloves. And Larry Hazard, I've seen throughout his whole career, and he is a class act, just a gem. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Bill, but when you mention Larry Hazard, that just puts me on a whole nother plane because I love Larry. Larry, from refereeing to judging to everything. This guy, a state boxing commissioner, this one, IBF. I mean, he's just a stellar career. Even academically, scholastically, what an impact this guy had for years on so many young kids. And I love Larry Hazard. Fantastic guy.
What I was going to say with Larry Hazard, he can't stand it when these referees, and he's always quoting, listen, Joe Cortez, in my opinion, is one of the worst referees. This is the truth. Joe Cortez is really one of the worst referees that ever was licensed as a referee. I know he's a Hall of Famer and all this stuff, but, truthfully, if you look at some of these tragic and close to being tragic fights, Joe Cortez was involved. I mean, he was the guy that lost control of the Floyd Mayweather versus Victor Ortiz fight. He didn't even follow protocol in that, and he's lucky that somebody didn't get seriously hurt. But this was the guy, I'm fair, but I'm firm. I'm fair, but I'm firm. The thing that really made it all come in perspective for me was one time, and I was just talking about this the other day. One time, he's got Michael Buffer. They were doing a big fight. And, I don't know if there was time restraints or whatever the situation was, but they had already brought the two fighters to the ring. And he had said, I gave you the instructions in the dressing room, blah, blah, blah. And they were both turned to walk to their respective corners. And Joe Cortez hadn't gotten his I'm fair, but I'm firm line in, right? And Michael Buffer starts to move away. And as he's moving away, the microphone's coming with him. Joe Cortez grabs his hand, and as he's moving the microphone, Joe Cortez is sort of like, I'm fair, but I'm fair, and it was like, give me a effing break. I mean, this is a guy that had to get his comment in so bad. I mean, it was pathetic. I lost every little teeny beany little respect that I did have for the guy. That all went out the window. But Larry's favorite is Bayless. What I say.
Gosh.
What I say. You must obey. Come on.
Do these guys have writers?
You know what? The truth of the matter.
Stand up and say, look in the mirror and say, "Hey, honey, how's this one sound?" No, what I say, you must obey.
Yeah, like Robert De Niro. You talking to me?
You talking to me?
You talking to me?
Yeah, I think. Look at you. Look at me looking at you.
Yeah, you looking at me? You looking at me? The funny thing is, you're probably right, and the joke of it all, Mills Lane, I like Mills Lane. He kind of started it with let's get it on, but the thing is that when Mills Lane did it, he wasn't trying. I think and it's a fact that it was just done as an accident at first. You know what I mean? And he just started doing it. That became his shtick. He wasn't trying to steal anything, but because it became so popular, all these other referees had to come up with their coined, phrase, and it's out of control. There's a guy in New York that what did he say? There's just been so many of them. I'm trying to think the guy that I really used to crucify. I don't know. I don't want to get too much, but hey, we got to thank Ron. Ron Lipton steps foot, and I'll tell you another thing about Ron Lipton, Sal. Something you may not have even known. When we first started this show, all right, Ron Lipton was doing the show with me. Ron and I we started this show in Snoop's gym as really to help promote the gym itself, not even. not even thinking that it was going to, that was 14 years ago. We weren't even thinking that the show was going to take off. And Ron and I were doing the show, basically talking boxing. The idea of the show was two regular guys, BSing about the sport, about the history of the sport. And Ron is an extremely knowledgeable boxing historian. And that's how we started the show. We wish we had, I tell you the truth, I wish I could come up with, Snoop's gym was located in like a really bad part of the city of Poughkeepsie, all right? I mean, it was bad. And the first episode, I think, and then that week we got added, we got picked up by a sports, internet sports network. But the first show, we're talking about, here we are at Snoop's and blah, 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 and all of a sudden you're hearing all the sirens of because somebody must have got shot or something up the street, and Ron and I are looking at each other like, huh, what are you talking about? But Ron knows his stuff. Anyway, I know we're getting a little sidetracked here, but good stuff, right? I mean, hey, listen, good stuff. In my opinion, Sal, and obviously, I know people that are just getting turned on to this show. Might say, oh, what's with all the commercial breaks and stuff? Listen, we have these requirements by the television networks and the radio stations that we're on, and we try to get them out quick in the first part of the show. Then we flow with none. So just bear with us because we got another one coming up. But in my opinion, Sal, the best referees in the sport of boxing are the ones you can't remember who refereed. And the reason why I say that is because you're not watching the referee and his performance. You're trying to watch the fighters. So if you watch a good fight and you realize that the referee that was, the third man in the ring didn't break them up when they were fighting inside, did a good job, you kind of don't see him in the camera shot. You kind of don't remember who it is. That's a good referee. The referee that you remember who did Steve Smoger. Oh, look at that guy. He's got no neck. His pants are all the way up. His belt he wears around. He could wear a tie and a belt that has the same thing. And then, all of those guys you remember because they do such a horrific job. What do you think?
Well, I kind of like Steve Smoger, but you're right. You're 100% right. You know what? When they want to bring attention to themselves, they do just that. Mills Lane was a class act. I loved it. Hey, he moved around the ring pretty good, too. But I'll tell you what you said is ideal. I mean, we see that in every fight. We know who the referee is or who he is not. And when you see a good referee that allows these fighters to do their thing, to fight, but yet does protect them and keeps in mind the rules of engagement or rules of boxing, and negates anything movement with the heads or the elbows and things like that, and the kidney shots. And there's a guy doing a great job, and he's usually the unsung third man in the ring. And it's great when you see a guy that could do that. The job in that capacity.
Let me tell you, Steve Smoger. Go back and watch Steve Smoger. Steve Smoger, first of all,
I think he used to referee a couple of my fights.
Listen, Steve Smoger, when he referees a fight, first of all, go watch it. All right, he rubs his privates all over it. I think he really. Not that there's anything wrong with whatever your sexual preference is, but he's rubbing his you-know-what all over these guys. If he's rooting for you, I've seen him smack around the opponents worse than the fighters do. I've seen him kiss guys in the ring. I mean, Steve Smoger is terrible, and he's another one of these Hall of Fame. And anybody, in my opinion, no disrespect to people that are physically challenged, but anybody that can wear a belt and a tie to perform the same function, all right, shouldn't be in the ring. I'm sorry, shouldn't be in the ring. That's just my opinion. I don't know. I mean,
they used to have the ties years ago. That was a part of the uniform. Was a tie tucked into your button, your lapel there?
Sal, his pants. He buttons his pants. They're around his neck. He doesn't even need to wear a shirt. His pants are so high up that he doesn't even need to wear a shirt. Listen. We got to take a break.
High risers, huh?
High risers. I mean, oh man, I could go on and on. He is, in my opinion, the worst. Really. Anyway, Sal. Let's take a
I
short
always
break.
get you going, don't I?
Yeah,
Billy?
yeah. Let's take a quick break. Then we got a long ways before the next one. Let's start breaking this fight down. We've been talking about it. It's time to do it. We're going to do it right after this break.
Billy C will be right back.
Endless pools are an incredible alternative to traditional pools, making it easy and inexpensive to swim at home. Exercise year-round against a smooth current set to your desired pace and temperature. With our new underwater treadmill, you can walk or run without stressing your joints. Endless pools are simple to install and even simpler to maintain. The water stays crystal clear with almost no chlorine. Call for your free idea kit and experience the freedom of swimming at home.
Snacking has never been this exciting. At Graze.com, we combine wholesome ingredients with the flavors we all love to create over 100 exciting snacks. Like these. We'd love to send you a Graze sampler box for free. Just go to Graze.com, enter the code ENJOY36, and we'll mail your free box to your home or office. Join thousands of Grazers already in love with our exciting snacks. So come to Graze.com for your first box free.
If you or a loved one have had hernia repair surgery with mesh reinforcement and suffered infection, chronic pain, mesh migration, mesh failure, organ damage, or needed additional surgery, call the Rely On Group right now. You may be eligible to receive a cash award and compensation for your medical expenses. Your voice deserves to be heard. Call the Rely On Group to be connected with a personal injury attorney for a free consultation. Call 800-715-4869. That's 800-715-4869.
Endless pools are an incredible alternative to traditional pools, making it easy and inexpensive to swim at home. Exercise year-round against a smooth current set to your desired pace and temperature. With our new underwater treadmill, you can walk or run without stressing your joints. Endless pools are simple to install and even simpler to maintain. The water stays crystal clear with almost no chlorine. Call for your free idea kit and experience the freedom of swimming at home.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts. Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning. Now back to Billy C. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're watching and listening to the Billy C. Show. I just want to say one more thing. We're going to start breaking down the Stevenson fight right now, Sal. But I just want to say one thing. The bottom line is this, and I've said this exact phrase before, words, whatever. It's fighter A versus fighter B. It's not fighter A versus fighter B featuring referee so-and-so. Oh, great. Oh, I want to see referee. Oh, I'm coming to buy the fight because I want to see the ref. No, it's not. It's fighter A versus fighter B. It's not fighter A versus fighter B featuring the referee. It's not, right? Don't you agree at least?
I agree. No, I do agree with you. I do agree. Like I said, it's about the fighters and about having them fight a fair fight. That's all it is. And a referee is supposed to ensure and make sure that these guys are fighting a fair fight. That's all.
We got some guys in the chat room. And by the way, if you're watching and listening, check out the chat room on BillyCBoxing.com. It's the one we refer to. I got some guys in there saying Smoger looks like a pedophile. There's some other guys like him. That's I'm not even going to mention because one of my main men likes him. So I'm not going to even mention who it is. But my man New Rose says that Russell Mora is terrible. Russell Mora. The bad thing about Russell Mora is that I met him. And first of all, he's got this gorgeous wife. But I met him, and he's such a nice guy. He fell in the ranks when he what was it, the Abner Mares fight with all the low blows that he didn't call. And one thing I do applaud, even though we're probably going to be ripping apart the Nevada State Athletic Commission, they definitely suspended him for a little bit. Then they made him rework his position back. They were giving him the crappy fights, and he's back with the bigger fights. And I think he's a pretty decent referee. Yes, he had a bad night that night. There was no question in the Maris fight that he had a bad night. But I don't think he's as bad as my man New Rose is saying in the chat room. But anyway, let's start with the breakdowns of the fight. Adonis Stevenson against Andrzej Fonfara this weekend on Showtime, coming at us from Canada. Some comments that both made. Stevenson says, I know Fonfara from 12 rounds in the ring already. He can't change his style right now. He may show some improved defense. And by the way, he's working with Hunter, so I'm hoping that he doesn't become too boring. But anyway, he says he may show some improved defense, but after a couple of rounds, it's going to be the same old Fonfara. This fight will be different. I expect a knockout. I hurt my hand in our first fight, but now I'm fully healthy, and I expect to knock him out. He might as well said, I don't want to make any excuses, but, I broke my hand. Fonfara says, I'm ready to be the new world champion. I'm going to do that Saturday. He wants to knock out, and I want to knock out, too. I respect him because he's a champ. I came here to show that this time I'm the better fighter. The odds right now, 11-1 in favor of Stevenson. I know that some of the odds are even better. My man Coach made a smart play and got 12-1 on Fonfara. I think that's a smart bet. I don't think Stevenson's that good. What's your thoughts on the comments?
Well, I've been watching the fight twice, and I just finished watching it right now as we've been doing the show. And I'll tell you what, when fighters go into a fight for a rematch on this level, sure, it's nice to have the purse, and they do that. But you got to look at what's the motivation. I believe in my heart of hearts that fighters will get back in the ring together because they each learned from the first fight, and they each feel that they could better their opponent and come out the victor. I don't see too much of a change in, it's so funny when Stevenson's saying that he doesn't see too much that Fonfara could do to change. I don't see much that Stevenson could do to change. I mean, he fights a decent fight, but he flails, his hands are down, he's all over the place. And I think, when you look at his punching power, I mean, he had this guy dropped in the first minute of the first round of the first fight, and the guy lasted not only the 2 minutes into that round, and he came back, but he lasted the whole entire fight, and he got some shots. So he could take a good shot, Fonfara. He had his moments, too. I thought he was pretty good on his defense. He's technically sound. He keeps his hands up. He shoots his classic European style, shoots his punches straight, and gives a little head movement here and there. I like the fight, and I want to see Fonfara pull an upset here. I really think he's capable of it. He's coming in. We'll see what happens. He's got 10 years on his side as well.
Listen, I've always thought that Stevenson, I just can't stand fighters that pound their chest and then avoid the big fights, and that's what Stevenson's done. So let me start to break down, in my opinion, how I see this fight going. First and foremost, Adonis Stevenson, the WBC's version of the world champion. He won the title in 2013. In my opinion, he had 2 good title defenses and 5 layups. One was against Fonfara. That was a fight that a lot of people thought. He won his title. If you go back to 2013, he won his title against Chad Dawson, knocking him out in the first round. Now, you got to give him credit for winning the fight. Even though Chad Dawson wasn't the same fighter that he was up to that point, he still won the fight. And, he won it in dominating fashion. I give him credit for Tavorius Cloud's, the win over Tavorius Cloud, where he stopped Cloud after 7. He couldn't continue. And then his knockout win over Tony Bellew. Both 2 big wins for Stevenson. And I thought, okay, we got a guy that's willing to fight the fights and everything else. Then, somewhere along the line, he signed with Al Heyman. and became a cherry picker. His next fight was against Andrzej Fonfara. He drops Fonfara quickly in the fight, but then goes on and I've had many discussions about this fight. And Sal, you watched the fight recently. I haven't. I didn't watch the fight, during the show like you are. But the truth,
during commercial break.
I see. Oh, yeah, you got all 12 in. But the truth of the matter is I was in a discussion with some people, and they thought that despite being knocked down, they thought Fonfara was the busier fighter towards the end of the fight. Do you think it was close? I mean, the judges didn't see it that way. They saw it as a unanimous decision for Stevenson. Just real quick, did you think Fonfara made it close? I mean, was the scorecards correct?
I think the scorecards were maybe it could have been a little closer. I think that Fonfara, he didn't make it close like there was a upset or a unfair decision. But I think he was in the fight. And it could have turned with a explosive round on his part. I think he had some opportunities that he didn't take advantage of. But I also think it said a lot on Stevenson. Stevenson should have had this guy if he was a lesser of a fighter. He should have had him down and out. I mean, he landed some blows. Like I said, Fonfara was technically sound. He keeps his hands up. He keeps his elbows in. And he avoided a few shots, and he had a good body attack, which Stevenson also did. Stevenson was one round that just kept going right after the body, and it was a decent fight and an entertaining fight. And I'm going to see that, like I said, I think that Stevenson, I don't know if he's going to give us too much of a different look because he won. Obviously, he's going to do what he felt he had to do, the way he did it to win. But I think Fonfara, you might see a little different tweak here and there, and he's going to try and capitalize on what he didn't do the first fight.
Well, he fought that fight was 3 years ago.
Yeah,
so and he's 39 years old.
3 years older.
Well, Stevenson's 39 years old now. So that fight, actually, Fonfara comes into that fight kind of unknown, and because of his performance in that fight, he kind of his career got going, and after that fight, in my opinion, Stevenson had a couple of layup fights. I mean, Sotohowski, he stopped him in 5. He had that ugly fight against Seiki Obika where he went the distance. Tommy Karpincy had no business fighting for a world title. He stopped him in 3, and then his last fight against a very green Thomas Williams Jr. Knocked him out in 4. So since he won the title, I give him a lot of credit for defending it the first 2 times. Well, I give him credit for winning it and then the first 2 title defenses. But the last fight that, even if we give him credit for the Fonfara fight, it's been 3 years and, 4 more fights that have been layups. And in all that time, he had the opportunity to fight the fight that everyone wanted to see, and that was against Kovalev, and he's clearly ducked him. As a matter of fact, he's went on to say that, he's the real champion, and he's this and he's that, and he discredited Kovalev. And I think as a result, Adonis Stevenson, once he signed with Al Heyman, his career has gone down. His value has gone down. The fact that they are overprotecting him. Listen, when a management team overprotects you as much as his is, that speaks volumes. But nonetheless, he's only got 1 loss, and that came to Darnell Boone, who's a tough guy. You can't go by his record. Darnell Boone knocked him out in the first round in 2010. Adonis Stevenson is 28 wins and that 1 loss. He's got 23 wins by knockout. He's ranked number 3 in the world by the computer at light heavyweight. He's 39 years old. He's 5'11" with a 77-inch reach, and he's a southpaw. He steps in the ring with Andrzej Fonfara. One of the things about fighters that get a shot at a title, Sal, is my pet peeve is a lot of times they don't deserve it. All right? I believe that Fonfara does deserve it. I think that Fonfara did climb his way back up to the top to get a shot. Now, as he was coming up before his first shot with Stevenson. He had a couple of good wins. One was against Brian Mitchell. Now these guys were obviously past their prime, but Brian Mitchell in 2012 followed that up with a win against Glenn Johnson in 2012. He also beat the same Tommy Carpensy that got a shot against Stevenson. Gabriel Campilio, he won. He lost to Stevenson. You know, he had a couple fights in between. He fought Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., stopping Chavez. The first time Chavez ever got stopped. That fight was in 2015. He also beat Nathan Cleverly, which was a pretty impressive win in my opinion. Then he got knocked out by Joe Smith Jr. in the first round, which was a shock. If you remember, Joe Smith Jr. was brought in as a guy that had a decent-looking record that was supposed to get Andrzej Fonfara back in the title shot, and he destroyed Fonfara in one. Fonfara basically wasn't ready for the quick, jumping out quickly that Joe Smith did. Plus, I don't think he was ready for the power that he got from Joe Smith Jr. His last fight was in March of this year when he stopped Chad Dawson, a well-spent Chad Dawson at 34-4, which earned him this rematch with Stevenson. He's actually a former world champion, Sal. He was the IBO world light heavyweight champion. When he did beat Tommy Carpensy back in 2012, he won the IBO world light heavyweight title. I give value to the IBO title. I think it's more reputable, even though they don't have the names. I think it's more reputable than the WBA, to be honest with you. But that's just my opinion. It's not counted as the top four, but I am mentioning it. He's 29 years old, 10 years younger than Stevenson. He's ranked at number 9 in the world by the computer. He's taller at 6'2.5", and has the same arm reach as Stevenson. How do I see the fight going? Well, to tell you the truth, it all depends on what Fonfara does. I agree with Stevenson's comment that Fonfara is Fonfara. Fonfara is going to do what Fonfara does. I agree with that. But I think what Fonfara does is enough to beat Stevenson. I really do. Stevenson has displayed at times a good jab, smartness, some smarts in the ring. But I think his inactivity, in a sense, even though he's fought as recently as when was his last fight? His last fight was when was his last fight? His last fight was last year in July against Thomas Williams. I think the age is caught up with him. I never thought he was as good as he was as he thinks he is. I think Fonfara might surprise him. If Fonfara can get out of the first half a dozen rounds, I think that this fight is going to turn to Fonfara's favor. I think early in the fight is Stevenson's favor. Later in the fight is Fonfara. My official pick, Sal, is going to be Andrzej Fonfara in an upset. I'm with my man, Coach. If you can get 12-1, throw $100 and get a chance to win $1,200. I'm picking the underdog in this fight, Andrzej Fonfara, to upset the apple cart and beat Adonis Stevenson and get himself in the position, Fonfara that is, to fight the winner of Kovalev Ward 2. What's your thoughts?
Well, you said it all. I agree with you. That's what I said. I think Fonfara could pull this off, and I think he's in a position to do so. And you broke it down geniusly. I mean, it was perfect, and that's exactly 100% what I feel. I think it's going to be a fight that I don't know if we're going to see any knockout, but I do see, as you just completely explained, Fonfara taking that later half of that fight and hurting and possibly dropping Stevenson. So we'll see. I think Fonfara has got more to gain here, and I think he definitely knows what's on the line. And he's, like you said, 29 years old. He's 10 years younger, and we don't know how much longer Stevenson's going to hang around. But I can't see Stevenson beating a Ward or a Kovalev if they were going to get in the ring. So I definitely see a possible upset here in Fonfara coming out with his hand raised.
You know, the truth of the matter is neither Fonfara's
not
beating either one of those guys either. But
I said that, but I don't think either of them could get past Kovalev or Ward.
But here's the thing, you know, Elder Alvarez he's made more money being a step aside guy because Stevenson has been avoiding a fight with him. In a perfect world, especially for Al Heyman and the promoter of this event, Alvarez should come out on top against his fight against Jean Pascal as the co-main event to set up finally Stevenson against Alvarez, even though Stevenson said the other day that he wants the winner of Ward. I don't see it happening. I see Stevenson ducking the winner of Kovalev-Ward, worse than any other fighter than Floyd, ducking the big fights. I think that, Fonfara would do the same. I don't think either one of these guys are going to race to fight Kovalev-Ward 2 winner. But as far as Alvarez, Jean Pascal, Elder Alvarez, he's 33 years old. He's older than people thought. He's ranked at number 8, one above Andrzej Fonfara in the light heavyweight division. He's got a record of 22-0 with 11 knockouts. He's got a couple of good wins, several good wins on his record. Edison Miranda got him onto the scene when he beat him in 2013. He also had a good win, a stoppage over then undefeated Rhino Lionberg back in 2014. He also beat Isaac Chilimba in a close fight, majority decision. And then another big fight was his last fight in February when he knocked out Lucien Boutte. Those are good wins, in my opinion, for Alvarez. He has shown some glimpse of stardom. Now he steps in the ring with Jean Pascal. Jean Pascal was a really good fighter. I say was. And believe it or not, he's only a year older than Alvarez at 34. He's ranked higher by the computer than Alvarez and Fonfara at number 6. He's a former world light heavyweight champion. He's had some good wins, and I liked him. You go all the way back to 2008. He beat Omar Pittman, which was a good win. He then lost to Carl Froch, but he got back on track with a couple of wins against Adrian Docanu and also Silvio Bronco. He, too, beat Chad Dawson when Chad Dawson was undefeated, and he won the title from him back in 2010. He had a couple of losses. Well, he had a loss and a draw against B-Hop in a couple of anticlimactic fights, I thought. He, too, beat Lucien Boutte. Kovalev beat him, knocked him out. He had a big win in 2015 against Gonzalez, which set him up for the rematch against Kovalev, which he lost by knockout again. In his last fight, he did fight in December of last year, but basically that was a let's get Jean Pascal a win fight against Ricardo Marcielo Ramiro. Stopped him in 3. His last 5 fights, 2 wins, 2 losses. Of his 2 wins, he got 1 knockout. Of his 2 losses, he was knocked out twice, and he had a no contest. Who's going to win this fight? This is a tough one to pick for me, Sal, because Alvarez does show glimpses of being a good fighter. Not great, but good. Jean Pascal, sometimes you don't know which Jean Pascal is going to show up. Jean Pascal at one point said he was done. He didn't want to fight anymore. He wanted to become a cop in Canada. So I really don't know what to pick. I guess if somebody's going to hold a gun to my head, I think Jean Pascal is tough. He fights in this weird spurts sometimes, most of the time. He can take a punch. The question is going to be, can Alvarez knock him out? He's not really a knockout puncher. He's only got a 50% knockout ratio, and very similar to Pascal. But Pascal's been in there with some heavy hitters. It's going to boil down to who's the busier fighter. I'm going to pick Jean Pascal in this fight. I think Alvarez has been moved along. I don't think he's as good as people think. I think Jean Pascal is going to win this fight and probably fight the winner of Stevenson Fonfara, and then the winner of that fight possibly going after Kovalev Ward winner. What's your thoughts on this one?
I'm going to pick Alvarez. I'm going to pick Alvarez, and I'm going to tell you why Monday.
After he wins? Oh, okay. All right. Well, listen, I just felt that I'm going to go on a underdog spree here. With Sweet Polly Purebred and myself. We're going to do the underdog in case you young whippersnappers don't know who Sweet Polly Purebred is. Go punch up the Underdog cartoon and you'll find out. But in any event, hey, listen, Sal, we're going to get Dax Khan to join us here in a minute or two, and we're going to take a short little break to do that. Then when we kick Dax to the curb, I got some emails that I totally should have read before we had Dax come on, but I got Dax scheduled to come on now. So what we'll do is we'll take a short break. When Dax comes on, I will get his predictions and thoughts on that, and then we'll read some emails. And before we take the break, let's get everybody caught up on some other sports real quick. The NBA Finals, the NBA Championship Finals started last night. I predicted the Cavaliers to win, and I started off wrong because the Warriors took a 1-0 lead in a best-of-7 series by beating up on the Cavaliers last night, 113-91. Over in baseball, the Indians shut out the A's 8-0. The Brewers beat the hapless Mets 2-1, and no more flipping the bird from Mr. Met in that game. The Cardinals beat the Dodgers 2-0. Rockies over the Mariners 6-3. The Orioles beat the Red Sox 7-5. The Yankees beat the Blue Jays 12-2. The Diamondbacks beat the Marlins 3-2. And the Twins topped the Angels 4-2. So that gets you guys caught up on some other sports. I'm going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to have Dax Khan join us, and we'll get his thoughts on the fights this weekend. And then we got some emails to read. And, man, this show is flying by. We'll be back in 2 minutes.
Billy C will be right back. Part of the Billy C Boxing Network.
Endless pools are an incredible alternative to traditional pools, making it easy and inexpensive to swim at home. Exercise year-round against a smooth current set to your desired pace and temperature. With our new underwater treadmill, you can walk or run without stressing your joints. Endless pools are simple to install and even simpler to maintain. The water stays crystal clear with almost no chlorine. Call for your free idea kit and experience the freedom of swimming at home.
Snacking has never been this exciting. At Graze.com, we combine wholesome ingredients with the flavors we all love to create over 100 exciting snacks. Like these. We'd love to send you a Graze sampler box for free. Just go to Graze.com, enter the code ENJOY36, and we'll mail your free box to your home or office. Join thousands of Grazers already in love with our exciting snacks. So come to Graze.com for your first box free.
This message is for all Americans that owe $10,000 or more in back taxes to the IRS. Look, I know you want to keep ignoring those letters, but the problem isn't going away. It's really stressful, and you don't know where to turn.
The good news is you have rights, and we can help resolve your IRS problems.
If you owe more than $10,000 in back taxes, our qualified CPAs, tax negotiators, and support staff know the law and know how to get your situation under control legally, permanently.
Call the number on your screen now and we will contact the IRS on your behalf, help you end wage garnishments, stop collection calls, remove tax liens, get rid of IRS and state tax penalties, and reduce the amount you owe if you qualify. You wouldn't go to fix your car without going to a mechanic, so why face the IRS without an experienced company that can help you?
Let us take the stress of back taxes and the IRS off your shoulders so you can spend time on the important things in your life, like your family or your business. If you owe more than $10,000 in back taxes, call now and find out how we can help you.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts! Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you!
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning.
Now back to Billy C. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. you're watching and listening to the Billy C. Show. Glad you could be with us today. And we finally, after we got sidetracked a little bit, we're finally breaking down the two fights scheduled for this weekend coming at us from Canada. Adonis Stevenson defending his world light heavyweight title against Andrzej Fonfara. And then the co-main event, Elder Alvarez taking on Jean Pascal in what is supposed to be an elimination to the winner of the Stevenson-Fonfara fight. But nonetheless, joining us right now to give us his thoughts is my man Dax Khan. What's up, Dax?
Good morning, everybody. Ready for your weekend?
Yeah,
good morning.
We got a good fight coming up. I hope at least the co-main event. What's your thoughts? Start off with the Alvarez Jean Pascal fight. What's your thoughts on that one?
You know, Jean Pascal seems like he's an aging fighter. It seems like a guy that's been around forever. You would think, he's in his 40s or something. He's only 34. The last few years he's been, inactive. He lost the 2 fights to Kovalev by KO. It seems he's not really sure what he wants to do. He was outboxed by Unisek Gonzalez. He did stop the journeyman in December, I believe, Ramallo. Alvarez, I've never been really impressed with him. His KO over Bute in February was good. Other than that, it's been pretty much just a journeyman. His official scores over his win over Isaac Chilemba was criminal. Those scores are 114, 118, 110, 115, 113. But I just think Jean Pascal, due to his inactivity and due to the fact he's not active in the ring, when he throws punches, is going to be the difference here. So I'm going to say Alvarez is going to stretch it out, but it's going to be a boring fight while it happens.
Sal is with you with Alvarez. I think he's a bit overrated. Alvarez, what's your thoughts?
Like I said, the fight against his bout against Isaac Chilemba, how anywhere else, that should have been investigated. How do you have a 114, 114, 115, 113, then a 118, 110 card? Anybody who watched the fight, in my opinion, the 115, 113, you can say okay because Alvarez fought at home, but really, in my opinion, even the 114 was generous. I thought that, that really showed exactly how good he is. And in my opinion, he's average at best, and that's why the fights against the other guys haven't really materialized. What they're doing now is just trying to stretch his career out so he doesn't have to step in against any of the big names. In Canada, against Stevenson, that would be a draw. So that's pretty much where his career is, and I think that's what's going to happen in this fight because Jean Pascal's career is winding at an end. He really doesn't want to fight no more. He's lost interest. He has other things on the outside of his career that he follows more than he follows his career inside the ring.
You got to watch out. Sometimes you got to speak a little louder. When Sal is shuffling papers over there, I was like, "Huh?
Yeah,
what?
You heard?
Yeah,
You heard that?
Do we hear it? Do we hear it? You got. When you fart, we hear it too. So just be careful. You don't do that. I see. The main event tax. We got Adonis Stevenson. I know you like Stevenson. He's taking on Fonfara. A lot of people don't even think Fonfara deserves this fight. What's your thoughts? How do you see this one going?
Which version of Andrzej Fonfara shows up? The one who works behind his jab, the guy who on the inside is very physical, or the one that comes up with his hands down and is lazy? The guy that came in against. I can think of a lot of fights against maybe the Adonis Stevenson, and in my opinion, probably the fight against Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. was the best versions of Andrzej Fonfara. And when he fights like he did against Chavez Jr., he's very tough because he's physical inside. He's a big guy. But can he do that with Adonis Stevenson, who at 39 years old, he still has a big punch, but he's very mobile for a guy his age. I think Stevenson is going to stay at a distance. He's going to avoid that long jab of Fonfara. He's going to try the 1-2 combinations, maybe catch him with a big left hand if he's lucky, but Fonfara is more or less going to stalk him. Stevenson is going to move. It's going to be a boring fight. If Stevenson gets the KO win, I'll be surprised, but I don't think it's going to be anything spectacular. It's going to be one of those things where you're switching back and forth to see what's on other channels during the fight.
Wow.
I'll pose the question to both of you guys. First, you, Dax, and then Sal. Virgil Hunter has been brought in to work with work with Andrzej Fonfara. Is this going to make a difference? Are we going to see a different version of Fonfara? Will Virgil help him tighten up his defense? I personally think Hunter is the most overrated trainer. Yes, he's got Andre Ward, but I think the credit has to go to Andre Ward, not so much Virgil Hunter. I think he gets too deep with stuff, and quite honestly, I never really hear him give any instruction in the corner. He's more of a rah-rah man or a mental guru. Is he going to help Fonfara? Dax, you first.
Hold on 1 second.
Okay, how about...
Let me wake Amir Khan up and ask you how much Virgil Hunter helps you.
Yeah, yeah.
That's good, Dax.
I agree. What do you think, Sal?
I think, it all depends on this, and I said this over and over again. Whatever that fighter feels, if he's got confidence in his corner and he feels that he's bringing a guy in and that guy's going to give him a little boost of confidence and he believes in this guy, that's all he needs to know. Whether this guy does a valid job or not, if the guy is in his corner and he wants that guy in his corner, that's just another level of one less thing he's got to worry about. He's got his corner. That's what he's happy about.
Dax, I think it's more. Obviously Sal brings up a great point, but my question would be, did Fonfara bring him in, or did Al Heyman say you got to start working with Virgil Hunter? Because it seems to me that Al Heyman is forcing Virgil Hunter on some of his fighters. He forces Virgil Hunter on us on some of the premier boxing champion telecasts, which he's got to be one of the. I mean, he puts me to sleep, just with the way he talks. Do you think that could be it? Is Al Heyman, I'll use the word suggesting to some of his fighters to bring Hunter into the mix, or am I missing something with this guy? Does he bring anything? I know you made the comment about Amir Khan, and he certainly didn't help Amir Khan at all. But, are fighters seeing something different than us?
He's not a bad trainer, but there's different types of trainers. You have guys that can come in there and totally revamp and readjust a fighter. Somebody like an Emmanuel Stewart was great at that. He took guys like a Lennox Lewis and a Vladimir Klitschko and a host of others, and fixed all their shortcomings and turned them into these other fighters, and while keeping the best of their qualities. But a guy like Virgil Hunter, in my opinion, is somebody that you have to work with for years, and you have to develop his style of fighting. Virgil Hunter isn't the guy that, really fixes mistakes from what I've noticed so far, but, the style that he employs, how we saw Andre Ward over the years, is great, but he's also a guy that you have to be with for years, and it's not something you're going to see the effects of in one or two fights. So I really don't think it's going to be much of a difference in this fight at all.
Now, a couple of things have happened, and this is away from the fights from this weekend. I wanted Dax to get his thoughts on. One of them, Dax, was a discussion you and I had last night, and I appreciate the links. But a guy that's parallel to the sport of boxing just was, or I don't know if he's been arrested yet, but he's being looked for anyway. Another black eye for the sport of boxing pertaining to someone involved in the sport. Can you tell us what happened?
Yeah, well, Brian Cohen, for those who don't know him, he works with a lot of women fighters, especially. On Mother's Day, him and a friend had a problem with Army veteran Robert LeBron, who just happens to be the husband of Cohen's ex-girlfriend. LeBron, as he was coming out of the back of his building down the stairs with his service dog that was issued to him to help deal with his post-traumatic stress disorder, because he was in combat, for whatever the reason happens to be, Cohen catches him as he's coming out of the door, hits him, throws him down the stairs, kicks him a few times. His partner in crime comes over and starts taking a few cheap shots. This is all caught on camera. They steal the service dog of the Army veteran, and then they go on the run. This is all caught on video. You actually seen the whole incident happen again. What took place behind the scenes, I don't know. But you know what? This right here was This is street crime. This was worse than what we've seen with Leon Lawson inside the ring. This was straight out street crime. And when I spoke to James O'Neill, his office yesterday, James O'Neill, who's the commissioner of the police department, they informed me that Brian Cohen was arrested yesterday. But, my question to them was, how is it that, on May 22nd, the media outlets in the tri-state area put out Cohen's picture. They asked people to call Crime Stoppers. They put out a picture of the dog. But meanwhile, Cohen somehow manages to leave the country with his fighter, Natasha Spence, to go down to Costa Rica, where Natasha Spence was dominated by Hannah Gabriel's, one of Hannah Gabriel's defenses for her world titles. He advertised this. He flew out of Virginia. Everybody else knew what was going on. How did this happen? How did an Army veteran become a victim of street crime by a known member of the sport of boxing, fly out of the country, make money, have his fighter, and then come back into the country and then just be arrested yesterday? I don't understand how this is going on. This is a bad for the sport. It was a low-life, cowardly thing to do in general. You have a problem with somebody, take it up man to man. You don't sucker punch somebody as they're walking out of a door. That's not my word for it. The video's out there for everybody to see and make their own opinion. Just Google it and look for it. But, I don't understand exactly, how this, in my opinion, when somebody does that, street crimes, they need to be suspended from boxing, even though it wasn't a crime that took place during one of their activities that pertains to the sport. It just makes the sport look bad as a whole. If you're going to be a criminal like that, boxing is all about trying to reform you from that behavior, not going back to that behavior.
Sal, as Dax is telling the story, you're shaking your head, and I can see the disgust on your face. And, for a guy that was involved in the sport, as an amateur, as a pro, and still involved in the sport now, and we're always talking about how, certain actions, like Dax just mentioned, certain actions by these guys really hurt the sport in more ways than one, because, the perception becomes that the sport just has a bunch of animals in it, with this particular move by Cohen. And then, of course, we're still talking about the Lawson situation. How does that make you feel for what it's doing to our sport?
Well, just what you said, it seems that there is a magnetic draw to losers, in a sense, to hang around fighters and to be involved in their corner, in their camp, and everything else. And that's not the case. That's not the case. You got a few bad apples, like in any situation. Anywhere you have a class of people or a group of people, there's going to be a bad apple or two. And it's just a shame that some of these bad apples rise to the forefront and almost take on an ambassadorship or stereotypical role as far as what you can expect in a fight game. And, hey, the fight game's not squeaky clean. We know that. But when you have people that are just blatant and people that just do things that grab everyone's attention, and it's not good for the sport, it's not good for humanity, it's not good sportsmanship, period, across the board. And these are guys that don't need to be around the boxing game. We don't want that. We don't want that garbage. We don't want that trash. We don't want that bull. Get out.
It's
come down hard on them.
No, it's true.
Set an example.
It's true, and for the marginal fan or just the sports fan that occasionally tunes into boxing, or he just happens to glance at the news, they're hearing about Floyd getting arrested for beating up his girlfriend, Adrian Broner getting arrested for this and that, Tiger Woods getting pulled up. Oh, that's right, he's not a boxer. But all of this stuff. It's just it's terrible stuff. Hey, Dax, one last thing before we let you go. It was announced that Mikey Garcia against Adrian Broner is set for July 29th. I like this fight. I know you were pretty vocal about Garcia even getting a shot at a title, considering his long layoff and stuff. But you also, admit to his talent. How do you see this fight going? I mean, he is fighting at a heavy weight in terms of Garcia. He's never fought at 140 before. Adrian Broner, on the other hand, has fought up and down. Some of his issues with weight, has forced him into the bigger weight classes. His discipline has been questioned. I think he had talent. I mean, I loved the fight. What's your take on it?
Well, Adrian Broner, 147 was too big for him. 140 is a little too big for him. I think 135 is the optimal place for him. As for Mikey Garcia, I think 140 is optimal for him because he is a big guy. He's a lot bigger than Adrian Broner in terms of overall body mass. I like Mikey Garcia in terms of the criticism on getting a shot after a layoff. It's not just Mikey Garcia. It's any fighter. But, what makes me mad are the guys that are out there fighting and grinding every day, or as you like to say, these lunch pail fighters that are trying to go for it. And then, you get guys that have this long layoff and all of a sudden, they get thrust right back into a spot other fighters have been working so hard for because they're more marketable with a bigger name behind them. That's not fair at all to anybody who steps inside that ring. But, in this case, I think that it's a good fight for Mikey Garcia as his introduction to the junior welterweight division, because what it's going to do is it's going to let him know how he deals with power at that division, how he does with handling the weight, how the weight cut for him is, how much easier it is for him to cut that weight and make 140 than it is 135 or, super featherweight. And then after that, I believe he'll get a win over Broner, and we'll look for a major fight with him and Terrence Crawford if Terrence Crawford doesn't move up to 147. So, this is a precursor to bigger things, in my opinion.
Adrian Broner, all of a sudden, a lot of people, just the way you alluded to it, a lot of people are looking at it similarly, where this guy all of a sudden, was, and I hate to use this analogy, but the A-side fighter, and now all of a sudden he's become the B-side fighter. Right. Just like you said, people are going to see the fight and hope that Mikey Garcia comes out on top, so that they can set up bigger and better things, because anytime you have Adrian Broner in these big fights, you end up with a lot of baggage that comes around and kind of overshadows the fight itself, and that's what we get with Adrian Broner.
Listen, I'll say this for a guy like Broner, the difference between him and a guy like Canelo is the people around him that are already seasoned and they're big time boxing people who know how to run the business. They also know how to keep an eye on a young guy like that and keep them going. You get a guy like Broner and the people around him where they want that attention, as kind of been a theme of the show today when you're speaking about referees. They want as much attention as the fighter. So these fighters, especially these young fighters, are forced to go out there and they take to social media a lot like a lot of these boxing clowns that are experts, who supposedly know everything about the sport. And, anytime somebody, whether it's our show or another show, ESPN, gives input on that, they're cursing people out, they're calling them names, they're ridiculing people because, it's that mentality. And Adrian Broner has that modern mentality. When you go around getting in trouble and you're posting pictures of yourself with guns on Instagram, looking for attention, wanting to see how many people care about you if you were going to commit suicide, his head is in a whole different place. He's not in a place where he should be a professional athlete. He's a young boy. He's an immature young man. He's got a grown man with a child's body with a lot of money and nobody around him to teach him exactly how to handle that. A lot like Mike Tyson once cussed D'Amato and Kevin Rooney and those guys left. And that's what happens. What people don't realize in this sport, when they say, oh, boxing is as much mental as it is physical, something what wears guys down and what kills a lot of careers, especially at a young age, doesn't take place in the ring. It doesn't take place between the opponents. What takes place is everything around them and trying to deal with that fame and that lifestyle and that money and those worries. And you know what? That's what happened to Adrian Broner. It just overwhelmed him too much, too fast. He looked for a role model. He looked for the wrong role model. He needed to worry about Adrian Broner instead of worrying about trying to be like anybody else. And that's the difference between a young guy like him and Canelo, who are the same age. Canelo worried about Canelo instead of trying to be like anybody else. He had people like Oscar trying to say, you know what, you're Canelo, you're not Floyd, you're not this guy, you're not that guy. And that's what happened to Adrian Broner, and that's why his career is where it is today.
Good point, Dax.
Good assessment.
Yep, good point. And we'll look forward to your post-fight thoughts on Monday for the Stevenson, Fonfara, and Alvarez Pascal fights, man. Have a great weekend, and we'll look forward to you next time, my man.
Absolutely. Just mark this down. Take my word for it. Come this time next year, Adonis Stevenson, Andre Ward, Sergey Kovalev are not going to be the top 5 light heavyweights in the world. Mark that down. I promise you. But it will be somebody not from this country, but those three men will not be one of the top 5 heavyweights.
I just watched Sal mark it down, and I think Kovalev will still be one of the top guys. But
not top 5, I promise you.
We'll see what Dax Nostradamus has to say in a year from now. But Dax, have a great weekend. I'll talk to you later, my man.
You too, guys.
Take care, Dax.
That's Dax Khan giving us his thoughts.
Yes.
Sal, and I saw you write that down. And we'll see, man. We'll test. We got some emails, brother. You ready to read some emails?
All right, bro. Yeah.
All right, this first one is from Jesse. And by the way, for all you peoples out there, if you want to drop us an email, if you take the time to drop us an email, we'll take the time to read it on air. Just send it to me, Billy@TalkinBoxing, TalkinBoxing.com, and let us know where you're watching or listening from. We are on 38 radio stations across the U.S. and Canada, and we're on 4 television networks, and of course YouTube, BillyCBoxing.com, on demand, and now Facebook Live. So let us know where you're watching us. But anyway, this one's from Jesse. He says, "Hey, Billy C. and Sal. I'm glad that Broner and Mikey is made for July 29th. This should be a fireworks fight. I just hope there's no injuries or out-of-the-ring drama to throw off this fight. You think this fight will happen for July 29th? I believe this is a pay-per-view fight if you bring a great undercard." You know, before I respond to that, Sal, you know, what happened to Adrian Broner, because although my man Larry Hazard disagrees with me, I thought that Adrian Broner possessed everything that a good fighter possessed. When he busted onto the scene as a lightweight, I loved Adrian Broner. I thought that this guy was going to be the guy. He had it all. He was engaging. He had hand speed. He had punching power. He had a little charisma. Was funny. But what happened to him is 2 things. One, Floyd Mayweather. He got wrapped up with Floyd Mayweather. You know, Floyd Mayweather is Floyd Mayweather. You can't try to copy Floyd Mayweather. Adrian Broner tried to copy Floyd Mayweather, and I think that hurt him. And the second thing that hurt Adrian Broner, probably more importantly than Floyd Mayweather, is Adrian Broner. Adrian Broner went down the wrong path, and now, you know, you still are waiting for him to just get his you-know-what together and move forward. But anyway, as far as this fight, do I think it's a pay-per-view card? I hope it's not a pay-per-view card. It's going to be on Showtime, from what I understand, and I don't think that it's worth a pay-per-view. I still am in belief that pay-per-view should be super fights. Not that I don't give Mikey Garcia, Adrian Broner, the title of a super fight. It's just that I don't know, you know, but Garcia hasn't fought at that weight class. I mean, to see Mikey Garcia fight, you know, Terrence Crawford, that's a pay-per-view fight. But Broner, Broner, Garcia, I'm not so sure. What do you think?
No, I agree with you. I'm from the old school, and pay-per-views or closed circuit TV as we knew it was for mega fights, the big fights, the best fights in the century, the fight of the century, if you will, or maybe fight of the decade, or maybe the fight of the year. Now we're reaching, but I'm not too big on seeing this become a pay-per-view. I don't think it warrants it. I think it's a good Showtime or HBO fight.
He says, my picks for the weekend, Dmitry Kutuzov knocking out Duradola in 10 rounds. He thinks, like us and my man Coach, he thinks Fonfara is going to beat Stevenson by a stoppage in the 12th round. He says Alvarez will beat Pascal in a unanimous decision. And he wants my thoughts on the Matt Remillard fight. I love Matt Remillard, so you're going to get a biased answer from me, Matt Remillard. He says, you're right about Kovalev talking too much. He should just shut up and show up on fight night. Like you say, could have, should have, would have, no excuses. How do you see the undercard? I'm going to talk about the undercard here in a little bit. But I agree with me. I agree with me. I agree with me, Sal.
I agree with me.
I agree with me. You know that he needs to just shut up. We're talking about Kovalev. Thanks for the email, Jess. This one's from my man Mitch. Good old Mitch. He says, Broner against Garcia is done. Adrian's going to get serious this time, right? He's going to do the right thing this time, right? Don't be surprised if Mikey Garcia's power carries up just enough to get the referee to think about a stoppage in this fight. Broner will survive depending upon the Broner weight they fight at. And he's alluding to the fact that there's going to be some kind of catch weight. He says, but I think this is cash-out fight for Adrian Broner. Great point by my man, Mitch.
Wow.
That could very well be the case, Sal. What do you think?
You know what? I just I have to look at that and say, you know what? There's some validity behind this. Could be very well a big cash-out fight. You know, Adrian Broner realizes he's past his prime, and you know, you go on that upward swing, and you know, it levels off, and you know, it kind of declines after that. And this could be his cash out. We'll see. And what better way to pass the torch than to a guy like Mikey Garcia?
Well, you know, I mean, passing the
Not even
torch. I
passing
know
the torch,
I know what you
turn.
meant by that, because he really doesn't have a torch to pass right now.
No, he doesn't have a
unless
torch.
he's smoking a joint, you know. But you know,
the baton,
yeah.
the baton.
But the thing is it very well could be a cash. You know, here's what's going to happen to Adrian Broner. Adrian Broner, as much as he tried to copy Floyd, much to my chagrin, I don't think Floyd's ever going to be broke. You know, he doesn't have any vices other than gambling, which is a dangerous vice. But I can't see Floyd being broke. But I can certainly see Adrian Broner being broke. So a cash-out fight for Adrian Broner would mean that Adrian Broner has to change his ways. You know, the way he is and the way he likes to think he's got all this money and the way he spends money like a drunken sailor and all this stuff. Floyd Mayweather, you know, he'll waste money on stuff, but I think he's controlled to a sense. I think that he's got enough money, and he's got enough money protected where he'll never be broke, and then he's got all that other money where he can do whatever the hell he wants with. Floyd has so much money that if he did become broke, I would love it, but I doubt it will ever happen. And I just think that Floyd is smart enough, not that I think Floyd is a smart guy, because I don't, but I think he's smart enough to have surrounded himself with a couple of smart, influential people that he does listen to, despite the fact that, you know, he comes across as making all his own decisions by himself. I think Adrian Broner does try to make all his own decisions by himself, and in the end result is going to be that Adrian Broner is going to be broke. The one thing I do give Adrian Broner credit for was when he was in a fight where he was getting beat the snot out of, his corner was in panic mode. Adrian Broner calmed them down. As the fighter who was getting beat up, he calmed his own corner down. And speaking of Floyd, that was one thing I always would have liked to have seen, how Floyd's corner and Floyd would have handled some kind of catastrophe, a serious cut, a knockdown, something that would have brought some kind of chaotic, feel to the corner. I've always thought that when push came to shove, Floyd would listen to his father and his corner. But of course, we'll never find out about that. But one last email here, Sal. This one's from your man Joel. He says, I was wondering what your thoughts on the co-feature was to the Stevenson Fonfara fight, Alvarez-Pascal. Do you think Pascal has much of a chance, or is he a weathered fighter looking to cash out in the biggest fight he can? I honestly wouldn't be surprised if Pascal loses a competitive fight, that Adonis tries to fight Pascal next to make both guys' bank accounts happier. I'm curious on your guys' predictions for both the fights. I already gave mine. I think Pascal's going to win this fight, and I do think that he's going to want to fight Stevenson again, an all-Canada fight. That's why the winner of the Pascal Alvarez fight is a win-win for Stevenson and Canada if Stevenson wins. If Fonfara wins the fight, it upsets the apple cart. What's your thoughts, Sal?
Same thing. I told you to see Fonfara and Alvarez. You know, that's basically, and that'll be that's my prediction.
That's Sal's prediction, and he's sticking to it. And with that, we're going to take a short break.
Please, I need a short break. I just fell asleep. I got to get a cup of coffee.
Sal needs another 5-gallon pail of coffee. We're going to take a short break. I got the undercard that was announced on a new term, which I find pretty funny. I'll get to that in about 2.
Billy C will be right back. Part of the Billy C Boxing Network.
Snacking has never been this exciting. At Graze.com, we combine wholesome ingredients with the flavors we all love to create over 100 exciting snacks. Like these. We'd love to send you a Graze sampler box for free. Just go to Graze.com, enter the code ENJOY36, and we'll mail your free box to your home or office. Join thousands of Grazers already in love with our exciting snacks. So come to Graze.com for your first box free.
Are you currently on Medicare? In other words, do you carry the red, white, and blue Medicare card? If so, are you suffering from chronic back pain? If you answered yes, you may be eligible for a pain-relieving back brace covered by Medicare at little to no cost, shipped directly to your home for free. These medical-grade back braces are ideal for lower back pain, arthritis, spinal disorders, and other chronic back problems. Will you qualify for a medical-grade back brace?
Call Back Brace America at 1-800-290-8300.
Endless pools are an incredible alternative to traditional pools, making it easy and inexpensive to swim at home. Exercise year-round against a smooth current set to your desired pace and temperature. With our new underwater treadmill, you can walk or run without stressing your joints. Endless pools are simple to install and even simpler to maintain. The water stays crystal clear with almost no chlorine. Call for your free idea kit and experience the freedom of swimming at home.
Snacking has never been this exciting. At Graze.com, we combine wholesome ingredients with the flavors we all love to create over 100 exciting snacks. Like these. We'd love to send you a Graze sampler box for free. Just go to Graze.com, enter the code ENJOY36, and we'll mail your free box to your home or office. Join thousands of Grazers already in love with our exciting snacks. So come to Graze.com for your first box free.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts! Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you!
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning.
Now back to Billy C. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're watching the Billy C Show. Glad you could be with us, and also with us right now is the other part of us, is Sal Rocky Senecola. And Sal, as promised, I wanted to give you some news here. They mentioned yesterday that they have the a couple of fights were added to the undercard of Kovalev Ward 2, which is scheduled in a couple of weeks, June 17th. Actually, when I'm coming back from St. Simon's, that Saturday, we'll be returning with a post-fight show. So not only will I be coming back from St. Simon's, but as soon as I get back, we will have the post-fight show for that rematch. But they announced that there's going to be two non-televised fights. 4 non-televised fights that we won't be able to see, but 2. And check out this new term, because I've never heard it before. 2 free view fights.
Wow.
We have pay-per-view. Now they want to emphasize that these are free view fights. What's your thoughts on that new coined free view? I mean, network television was free view, but on a pay-per-view we got some fights. They're on free for view. It's free per view fights. What do you think?
Well, I like it. It's like a preview and a free view and it's compounding it. It's putting it together, commingling the two. So it's a free view. I like that very much. We're going to use that.
Free per view fights.
Free per view.
Free per
That's
view
pretty
fights.
neat. It's catchy. Free
I like
per view.
I like free per view. Anyway, the free per view fights that we're going to be seeing are as follows. First, Tremaine Williams. They call him the Mighty Midget. He's 10-0 with 3 knockouts, going up against Christopher Martin, who's a veteran, which you never know which Christopher Martin's going to show up. That's going to be in the junior featherweight division, scheduled for 8 rounds. The second free per view will be Vaughn Alexander. And in case you guys forgot, and in case y'all forgot, like Roy Jones Jr.'s song, Vaughn Alexander is the older brother of Devon Alexander, who got into some trouble, did his time in the Slammer, and has resurrected his career. He had gone in as a pro, and most people say that Vaughn Alexander was the more talented of the Alexander brothers. He's currently 9-0 with 6 knockouts, and he's taking on Fabinho Pena, who's got a record of 16-7-1. They also announced the undercard, which you'll only get to see live because it won't be on any television, won't be on the pay-per-view or the free per-view version of the show, Sal. But a couple of good fights against undefeated young fighters include a 6-round welterweight fight between Enrico Gago Kaya, who's 4-0 with 2 knockouts, going up against Jonathan Steele, who's 7-0 and 5 knockouts. In the middleweight division, a 6-rounder between Bakram Murtuzalov, who's 8-0 and 6 knockouts, going against Gerald Sherrill, who's 6-0 with 2 knockouts. Out of Jersey, John Booza, who's 6-0 with 3 knockouts, going up against the toughest guy they could find, TBA, in a 4-round junior welterweight fight. TBA is a badass. I mean, you got to watch out for TBA. And
it reminds me to be announced.
Yeah. Oh, is that what that stands for? Oh, thanks for telling me, man. I thought it was just, because I was going to say, this TBA fighter, he fights a lot, man. I see him a lot, I mean, he must be a badass, Jeez, he fights
often. I see him in multiple weight classes.
I tell you what, I know. That's what I was saying. How can TBA go from flyweight to heavyweight? I mean, geez, he must eat at Sal's Neighborhood Pizzeria or something. But anyway, in the super middleweight division out of Brooklyn, Junior Yoan, he's 11-0 with 8 knockouts, is going up against Zoltan Sira, who's an experienced fighter out of Hungary, 28-12 with 19 knockouts. That's going to be a 6-round fight. So, I mean, the card sounds pretty good, Sal. What do you think?
Yeah, it does sound pretty good, and we'll see how these fighters emerge with their name being known, one day. So we'll see.
Well, listen, it's that time.
Especially that other guy with the 3 initials. TBA.
He's tough. That TBA, he's tough. He's tough. You don't want to mess with him. Let me tell you. You don't want to mess with him. If you see TBA, let me just tell you, for all you guys out there watching and listening, boys and girls, men and ladies, children of all ages, if you see TBA walking down the street, don't make eye contact and walk on the other side. I'm telling you. I don't even care if you got a Rottweiler or a Pit Bull with you. Avoid TBA at all costs. He's a badass. Anyway. It's that time. We got the trivia question, and, man, these guys have been doing well. I had a tough one yesterday. I thought it was a tough one, and I'll give a shout-out to well, first let me read the question. The question was, what did Ted Kid Lewis, Dave Shade, and Jan Stribling all have in common? I have a correct answer, but I'm going to give a shout-out to Kevin. You remember Kevin? Kevin's the guy that, where's the trivia question? He cried. It was a trail of tears from my studio all the way to Kevin's house. Wanted the trivia question back, and he's coming up short. But I'm going to give him credit right now because Kevin was close. Kevin said that all of these fights, all of these fighters had 100 fights. But actually, he was wrong. He said all these fighters had 200 fights, which he's correct. They all did, but that wasn't the right answer. My man Matt Tibor, who says he's a viewer. Check this out. Matt is a viewer on Holyfield Television Network.
Wow!
So
really?
We're glad we finally got somebody to respond that watches us. On the Holyfield Television Sports Network, which we're glad to be part of. And Matt Tibor knew that The correct answer was that all three of these fighters had 100 professional fights before their 20th birthday, Sal. They all had 100 pro fights before their 20th birthday. Amazing stuff. You know, I love it. I love that. You know, so congratulations to Matt. And I'll give a kudos to my man Kevin, who was close but didn't win the prize. And speaking of prize, Matt won his own copy of the Title Bout Championship computer game. So we got a new question, Sal. You ready?
I'm ready for you.
All right. Here's the new question, boys and girls. It's a who am I question. All right? It's a who am I question. Before my 20th, I'm on this 20-year-old kick because I wish I was 20 again. Before my 20th birthday, I beat 4 world champions and lost to another one who I also defeated a month past my 20th birthday. Who am I? Before my 20th birthday, I beat 4 world champions and then lost to another one, which I defeated a month after I turned 20 years old. Who am I? If you're the first one to email me, Billy@TalkinBoxing, that's TalkinBoxing.com, with the correct answer, you'll win the prize. I think I got another copy of the title bout, but if not, we'll have something else. Sal, are you going to get this question right and make me do another question? I will ask you one more time. Before my 20th, it's a who am I question. Before my 20th birthday, I beat 4 world champions and lost to another one who I also defeated just 1 month past my 20th birthday. Who am I?
I got 2 fighters in mind, but the one I'm going to have to go with is Jack Dempsey.
Jack Dempsey is incorrect, but close. You're close. You were close on that one, Sal. Good answer, Sal. Good answer. So everybody else, it's your shot to win the prize. Just it's a who am I question. If you're the first one to email me, Billy@TalkinBoxing, TalkinBoxing.com, you'll win the prize. Before my 20th birthday, I beat 4 world champions and lost to another one. So that means he fought 5, world champions, former world champions, who I then defeated just 1 month past my 20th birthday. Who am I? Good luck to everybody on that one. Hey, Sal, on this day, June 2nd in 1933, Eugene Creaky knocks out Johnny Kilbane in the 6th round to win the world featherweight title, and that took place in New York City. On this day, June 2nd in 1990, Marcos Villasana knocks out Paul Hutchinson in the 8th round to win the vacant WBC world featherweight title. It took place in Manchester, England on this day in 1990. On this day in 1913, Bill Ladbury knocks out Sid Smith in the 11th round to win the world flyweight title. It took place in London. On this day in 1973, one of my favorite fighters, Carlos Monzon, wins a 15-round decision over Emil Griffith to retain his WBC and WBA world middleweight titles that took place in Monaco. On this day in 1973, Roberto Duran knocks out Hector Thompson in the 8th round to retain his WBA world lightweight title, and that took place in Panama. On this day in 1924, Mickey Walker, another great fighter. And I believe Mickey Walker won a bunch, maybe 60, 70 fights before losing his first one. But Mickey Walker wins a 10-round decision over... Now I'm starting to question my own... Anyway, doesn't matter. Mickey Walker wins a 10-round decision over Lou Tendler to retain his world welterweight title. It took place in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania on this day in 1924. And on this day, June 2nd, in 1891... Sal Rocky Senacola was born. No. Wrong. I misread that. On this day, June 2nd in 1891, Charles Kid McCoy wins a 4-round decision over Peter Jenkins in his pro debut in St. Paul, Minnesota. Kid McCoy would go on to fight for 25 years, becoming a world champion and a boxing Hall of Famer. His career record, 92 wins, 65 coming by knockout, 8 losses, and 11 draws. He was inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame in 1991. And a little side note, the real McCoy. Remember when they come up with the coined phrase, "Oh, that's the real McCoy." Well, that's because Kid McCoy was blamed for throwing a couple of the fights, and they started the phrase, "It's the real McCoy," meaning the real Kid McCoy is going to show up for the fight. So a little tidbit there.
Look at that.
Yeah, see, sometimes
Trivia.
Sometimes
That's
you learn
educational.
something. You learn something every day. You learn something every day on this show. Hey, Sal.
Absolutely.
I'm looking forward to watching these fights. I hope that they're as entertaining as they're trying to make it sound. I'm not so sure they will be, but don't worry because we will be talking about them on Monday. So I want to leave everybody with this. Make sure you tune in Monday morning. Same bat time, same bat channel. Until then, enjoy the fights, and I'll leave you with this. Ciao, baby.